ज्ञानियों के शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, मेरी आस मेरे श्वास तुझ में ही समाए। साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर।
सहनौ पुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verses 21 to 30.
कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते। पुरुषः सुखदुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते। पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्ते प्रकृतिजान् गुणान्। कारणं गुणसङ्गोऽस्य सदसद्यो निजन्मसु। उपद्रष्टानुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरः। परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तः देहेऽस्मिन् पुरुषः परः। य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयोऽभिजायते। ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना। अन्ये साङ्ख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे। अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते। तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः। यावत् सञ्जायते किञ्चित् सत्त्वं स्थावरजङ्गमम्। क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञसंयोगात् तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ। समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरम्। विनश्यत्स्व विनश्यन्तं यः पश्यति स पश्यति। समं पश्यन् हि सर्वत्र समवस्थितमीश्वरम्। न हि नस्त्यात्मनात्मानं ततो याति परां गतिम्। प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः। यः पश्यति तथात्मानं अकर्तारं स पश्यति
Hari Om again. We are meeting after a long time. So first, I guess I should tell you all the gossip, right? Well, the American lecture tour went off very well. I must say, surprisingly well. Um, I was not expecting it so good as it was. And hopefully next year, the process will be repeated again. And thank you, Milan. And incredible, really incredible to see how much interest people take over there. In India, you have a talk, people will just come, sit, maybe say a few good words at the end, and then they all go home, and that is the end of the matter. But it's very different in the US. People take an action after that. And I suppose that explains why they are more productive than we are. It's an action. They get the book or they do something. There's always an action. For those who are interested, of course. Not everybody, but those who are interested take an action. So many people came to us and said, can we contribute in some way? Unfortunately, we have to not accept any contributions because we don't have FCRA. But the fact is that they want to do something further. And this is really something we all can learn from it. To be interested in spirituality is one thing. To actually do something about it is a different thing altogether. So, firstly, the lecture started at Florida and Miami, and then over to the other side to California, where we had various things. Almost every weekend, we had something or the other at Sunnyvale, at Milpitas, at Santa Barbara. We also did online ones. We did with Swami Sarvapriyananda, which I think you may have all seen. And amazing person, fantastic. Whole conversation went off very well. So that's it as far as the gossip goes. And now back to the Bhagavad. So I believe you were on the 21st verse. It usually creates confusion in the minds of people. Definitely, when I first read it, I was quite shocked because I felt, how can this possibly be true? And how can he be blowing hot and cold? Because he's always said that the self is inactive. He's always maintained that. And now suddenly he seems to say that the self is the cause of pleasure and pain. Now, this is a very interesting usage. Please understand that the Bhagavad Gita is a poem, and poetry takes poetic liberty. It does that. So, what is it talking about? Karya Karana Kartrutve. Karya Karana Kartrutve in the cause and effect relationship. Hetu Prakriti Uchate. The Hetu, the cause, is Prakriti. So, what is Prakriti? Prakriti is made up of the 5 elements. All cause and effect takes place in the realm of Prakriti. Prakriti refers to the 5 elements. You all remember the 5 elements, right? What are the 5 elements? Jaldi se.
Space, air, fire, water, earth.
Very good. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Very good. So, what is Prakriti? Prakriti is the elements. All cause and effect relationships take place within the realm of Prakriti. It seems so simple, right? Just to say that. But to understand that takes a long time. All cause and effect takes place in the realm of Prakriti, so says the Lord. I am not saying it, I'm not making it up. You read it up for yourself. So, what does that imply? All cause and effect takes place in the realm of Prakriti. So, therefore, can you worship God and expect something, Him to give you something? When you go to the temple and say, oh, God, do this for me or that for me, find me a good wife, give me good blessings in my business. Can you say all this? All cause and effect is in the realm of Prakriti, right? It seems so obvious. It's a clear statement, no problem over there. Everything that has to happen happens in the realm of Prakriti alone. Whether you go to Vedanta, whether you go to Sankhya, everybody will tell you this. Okay, then what's the role of Purusha? You remember we always talked about there being Prakriti and Purusha. So all cause and effect is in Prakriti. Then what is Purusha doing? Is he a dead thing? He's doing nothing. He's not dead. He is the consciousness that makes you aware of that cause and effect. When you are not aware, whether it is the sun of Mumbai or the cold of California, no difference. But when you become aware, when you become conscious of it, it becomes something in your life, pleasure, pain, whatever. So that's what he says. In the experience of pleasure and pain, Purusha is said to be the cause. What happens is in Prakriti. What we feel about what happens is the Purusha. Means our awareness, our consciousness about it is Purusha. Now it sounds complicated to you. Just ignore it. All he's saying is our old formula, which is matter plus spirit is equal to the individual. But sometimes, people will keep on saying and saying and saying. They get very, I myself did it, so I won't blame you if you do it. We have this irritating thing of saying, nobody can't make this statement. That is not correct. The Purusha is not the cause of pleasure and pain. If you insist on thinking in that manner, then here is a further way to think about it. All that happens in the realm of the 5 elements. But the pleasure or the pain, the pleasure or the sorrow, the agitations that derive out of it come because you are going closer or further than the self. So as you go closer to the self, you're experiencing pleasure. As you go further away from the self, your experience is one of sorrow. So you could take it in that manner. But basically, what he's talking about is that in the production of cause and effect, this is only in the realm of Prakriti. And therefore, people who function, who think about Prakriti, are known as, don't say materialistic, okay?
Scientists.
Scientists, very good. Because what is the role of a scientist? He tries to find out cause and effect relationships. That's what he does. That's his job in life. Now, depending on which field he does it, he'll be a physics person or a chemistry person or a biology person or whatever other thing there is. But all his role in life basically is to see a cause and effect relationship. He has to establish. So those who study Prakriti are known as scientists. Those who want to get to the Purusha are the spiritual people. Many scientists at some point they figure out that there's no end to this cause and effect, and you're never going to get it anyway. The cause and effect is Prakriti, the whole of it, and it's all interconnected. So there's really no way you're going to be able to make any reasonable prediction. See, why do you want to know the cause and effect relationship? Because you want to make a reasonable prediction that this will happen. If I do this, then that will happen. That is so difficult because there's so many factors, and all these factors are interconnected, with the result that it is well nigh impossible to be able to predict what will happen. And those few who have been able to find even a few cause and effect relationships, they're the geniuses of our times. So the ability to know the entire cause and effect relationship does not lie with the human intellect. When you figure that out, you give up the pursuit and you go off in search of the Purusha. I don't know at what point this change takes place, but at some point you realize it's all destructive. So therefore, that's when Jnana and Bhakti come together also. Because the Jnani as well as the Bhakta say this is a waste of time. You're never going to know it. All right, so I hope verse 21 is clear. Anyway, he's elaborating, all these verses are elaborating it. Verse 22 will explain how this, all of it is going to explain, this whole bit explains it. Anybody has any questions in reference to 21? I mean, it's going to be explained some more, but just 21. All okay, right? 21? Purusha prakritisto hi bhunte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasatyo nijanmasu. Purusha prakritisto hi bhunte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasatyo nijanmasu. Purushaha means the Lord, the Self, Atman, Brahman, whichever word you'd like to use. Prakritistaha. Staha means seated in. So Purusha, the Self, seated in or established in Prakritihi. Bhunte Prakriti Jan Gunan. Bhunte means to enjoy. Prakriti Jan. You know Prakriti Ja, right? Prakriti Ja means?
Of Prakriti.
Born of Prakriti. Prakriti Ja. So Prakriti Ja means born of Prakriti. Remember? Purvaja, born of the ancients or whatever. Pankaja. So when it ends with Ja, it means born of that. So Prakriti Ja, born of Prakriti. Prakriti Jan. Prakriti Jan is just the plural of it. Like Devan, so Prakriti Jan. So Prakriti Jan, Gunan. The gunas which are born of Prakriti. So Purusha, seated in Prakriti, enjoys the gunas of Prakriti. Fairly clear, right? The combination of Purusha and Prakriti enjoys the characteristics of Prakriti. In other words, the individual enjoys the world. What does the word enjoy in philosophy mean? You'll see it all over. What does it mean?
Experience.
Very good. In philosophy, the word enjoy, bhunte, enjoy, refers to experiencing something. No, but my experience gave me sorrow. They don't care whether you got sorrow or joy out of it. They call it enjoys, means experiences. Means sorrow and joy are only two sides of a coin. Philosophically, they have no particular, what should I say? Doesn't mean anything. Because remember, what he's talking about here is what in you experiences that. So he's not concerned with what you're experiencing. So he uses one word. So boom, enjoys. From the perspective of the wise person, they don't see any difference between a joy and a sorrow. They say ek hi baat. Because what we call joy is sorrow for them. So they say ek hi baat. So Prakriti seated, Purusha seated in Prakriti indeed experiences the gunas born of Prakriti. What are the gunas born of Prakriti? The classifications, all the qualities, whether you use it the technical tamas rajas sattva or use the non-technical good and bad, whatever it is, the individual, who's the individual? Combination of spirit and matter. This combination enjoys Prakriti. So far, so good. Now, where's the problem? This is a statement of fact. This statement of fact is clear to everyone. Pravesh, you have a question?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as all the souls are the fragmental part of Supreme Soul, means
All the souls are a fragment of the Supreme Soul.
we all are the fragmental part of God.
Okay, that's not Advaita philosophy, but continue.
So, ma'am, my question is this: if we are the part of God, and God knows everything, why we are not having that characteristic to know everything, as we are the part of God?
Okay, so firstly, it is incorrect to say we are part of God. Since you're in an Advaita Vedanta classroom, this statement will not be accepted. Can anyone tell me what is the right statement?
We are God.
I am God.
No,
Very
I'm
good.
not.
In Advaita Vedanta, I am God. I am not a part of God. When I say I'm a part of God, which philosophy am I referring to?
Vedanta.
Vishishtadvait.
Vishishta.
Vishishtadvait.
Okay. You will remember all this? Vishishta, Advaita, Advaita, Advaita. You remember all this? Ravesh?
No, ma'am. Actually, I read somewhere in the means one of the book, Swami Mukdanand book. It was written there. We all are the fragmental part of God. God is infinite, and we are infinite. So, then I thought that kind of
If your book said God is infinite and we are infinite, then infinite cannot be fragmented.
infinitesimal means we are the part of that infinite.
We are not part because infinite cannot be divided. You divide infinite by any number, the answer is
Infinity.
so it cannot be divided. So it cannot be a part. Okay, so according to Advaita Vedanta, especially by what you are saying, because the two sentences are contradicting each other. That's one of the educations of philosophy, that we at least know that we are contradicting ourselves. Either I am infinite and God is infinite, in which case there can be parts, or He is infinite and I am finite, in which case there can be a means I am finite. Okay? All right, so but it's irrelevant to the question. The question is, if we are the self, why do we not experience the qualities of the self, be it knowledge, be it bliss, be it complete productivity, or highest dynamism, any of the quality, complete love? Why do we not experience any of these? Because as far as we are concerned, we are not the self. If I ask you, who are you? You tell me I'm Pravesh. You don't experience it as I am the self.
Purusha is sitting in the Prakriti and we are in the influence of Prakriti. It means Prakriti is more powerful than Purusha.
We go step by step. First question was answered. You are satisfied with the first answer?
No.
Then why have you gone to another one? You have had a very lenient teacher all this time, so you all have been taking advantage. Finish one thing, then we go to another thing. right?
Adi sir is very strict.
Adi sir was strict. Alokji, letting her do whatever you want,
Relatively lenient.
Good, you need strict teachers. Teachers who are not strict are useless, except Alokji. But he can be very strict if you go too far. Okay, so, if we are the self, why do we not enjoy the qualities of the self? Is because, as far as I'm concerned, I am not the self. As far as I'm concerned, I am Janki, I am Pravesh, I am Deepraj, I am Komal, not the self. Now, this is true. Even at a relative level, you will experience the same thing. Suppose uh, you go to an organization, and in the organization, you're treated badly. You can go anywhere and you're treated badly. What do you attribute that behavior to? When somebody is treating you badly, it could be a boss, it could be a spouse, whoever, whatever, whoever's treating you badly. What do you attribute that bad behavior towards you to? If you are financially conscious, you will say, I'm a poor person, that's why they're treating me so badly. If you're gender conscious, you'll say, I'm a woman, that's why they're treating me badly. Or I'm a man, that's why they're treating me badly. The women have it so easy. Whatever you have identified with, you will take the qualities of that thing. Mahatma Gandhi had identified with India. So he had the qualities of India. He could walk into London, into their parliament, in his dhoti and what clothes he wore, and say to them, you have come to us as beggars. Because he had the full power of India. So now what qualities we get is entirely dependent on my own perception of myself. And as I perceive myself differently, my sense of self changes. The qualities I have change. Suppose you go somewhere where you are a very highly respected person and you know that you're a highly respected person over there. How confidently you will talk. Suppose you go to another place where you are totally, unknown and people don't care about you, and you see yourself like that, you will immediately be, what should I say, feel down. So what I experience is entirely dependent upon what I
Identify.
Perceive.
whatever I identify with. If I identify with India, then I have stature. If I identify with this limited being, with just this limited body, then I have no stature. If I identify as a human, whatever I identify with, I will get the qualities of that. Is that clear? Since my identity is not the self, therefore, I get the qualities of whatever I identify with. So if I identify with my body, what are the qualities? What am I aware of? Heat and cold. Pleasure and enjoyable and not enjoyable. Pleasure and displeasurable. If I identify with my mind, then what kind of experience do I have? Loving, not loving, angry, peaceful, all of this emotional experiences. If I identify with my intellect, then intelligent, not intelligent, whatever. It's at that realm. So the qualities I have are not my own qualities, but that with which I identify. So why do I not enjoy the qualities of the self? It's not because I don't have them, it's because I don't identify myself as the self. Okay, are you all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other question?
Lot of questions, but it's okay.
Okay, digest one, and the others will slowly. Little bits of knowledge, if we keep on taking, eventually it all comes together and you see it as a 3D picture. But just focus one little part, one little part, one little part, and eventually it all becomes clear.
Thank you, ma'am.
Komal, you had a question?
Yeah, Namaste, Janaki. So actually, in continuation with what we were discussing, like how to identify yourself continuously with self. Like sometimes we identify with self and then again we go back identifying with something else, and then we come back to that. So is study Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga has to be continuous so that we are continuously experiencing that?
Yes, you have to do your sadhana
it-
continuously, but more important than sadhana is remember the goal. Remembering I'm the self is not possible all the time. So you have to remember, you can remember various things. You can remember I am the self, which is, of course, a very good thing to remember. But the most important thing to remember is what am I doing this for? Whatever in the world I'm doing. And each and every time my answer should be to reach the self. That's my goal. And I won't forget that no matter what happens. So each and every time, that's not, I'm not mechanically remember, saying I'm the self, I'm the self. I have determined for myself that the purpose of my existence is to reach the self. And for that purpose, I have undertaken certain activities. So once that whole thing is clear, you remember your goal all the time. Somebody wakes up in the middle of the night and asks you, what's your goal?
Percentage will keep on increasing. Like that balance which we go off balance, that will slowly go into that balance of when you will remember self and you will become
I mean, as long as what you want is to realize the self, you won't forget. Suppose you have a daughter, Komal.
Yes.
At some point, you wanted your daughter to be married. She's married?
Yes, she's married.
Yes. So
Yes.
at some point, she was Kuwari Ladki and you wanted to get her married. Now, everywhere you went, what did you see? You saw mothers of eligible boys. You saw eligible boys. You went to places because there was the possibility of that. You spoke to people for that purpose because that is what you wanted. You wanted to find a boy for the girl. And
Actually, that didn't come only. She only found and told me before we could think of finding anything.
very good. But had you wanted, you would have seen. Okay, for your son,
Yes,
you were
yes,
looking
yes.
for a bride for your son. You go there because you want. You will stay there until you think this will happen.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
will leave from there when you think, abhi to yahan koi chara nahi hai.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So you'll
Because,
be in that mode only, right?
yeah, so that's because that's what you want. And if that is not what we want, then we should have a goal which we do want. So therefore, you can think of it all the time. The reason you think of something all the time is because it's what you want.
Yes. Got it. Right. Thank you. Understood.
Janki ji,
Hmm.
now the question is, our identification with this body is so strong, very difficult to believe that we are not the body. I'm talking about, say, our level. Now, so having a goal is very powerful, as you rightly said. And but does negation help? If we negate, now I was reminded of Shankara's Atma Shatkam, wherein he is negating. So consciously, does it help, Janki ji? Even negates and then affirms. So you do both.
Yes and no, because sometimes we negate, like, I am not the body, I am not the body. That's not a correct understanding of negation. Negation means that at the point of choice, that which determines my action is what I more deeply want. So every time I'm faced with a choice, how did I make it? Like, suppose you're faced with a choice. I can go to class today, or I can go to the gym today. Now, how will you take that decision? How will you make that decision? Take decision, make decision. How will you take the call? How will you make the decision? Okay. How will you do that? When you do what according to you will take you to your highest value, you are negating the other side. It's not a question of simply saying I'm not the body, or I'm not the mind, or I'm not the intellect. You're not. I mean, there's some limited value in doing that, but that's not really what it's talking about. What it's talking about is I have negated my body. Let us say I wanted to, I don't know, have chole bhature for breakfast on Sunday, but it was class time, so I had to leave it and I had to go to class. So I have negated my body because I've not gone with my desire for chole bhature, but gone with my desire to realize the self. So that process of choice involves assertion of the higher and negation of the lower. It's not a mechanical thing like, okay, I'm not the body, I'm not the body. People who do things like that, you have over the years, I know, met many people who appear half crazy because they'll say crazy things. If you ask them, what is your name? They'll say, I don't have a name. Where do you stay? I'm universal. Pagal log hai. You've seen that multiple times. So that is when you do this, I don't know what to use the word, superficially. Like, I'm not the body mind, like I'm this, I'm not the body mind. That's not the thing. It is at the point of choice of action. Which one did you choose? Did you choose the one that satisfied the body? Or did you choose the one that is going to take you to the self? And you choose the one that will satisfy the mind or take you to the self. That is that assertion and negation thing, not mere words or mere thoughts.
So having the goal of self and then making choice of action into the goal of self. That's
if the goal is the self.
If the goal
or
is.
whatever the goal is. So you're constantly asserting the higher goal and negating the personal desire involved.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a question coming from Bharat? Did I see that?
I'm just
Yes, it's in the chat.
Ravi Chabra. God is a creation of our mind. It is infinite with no forms or figures. Yes, the first and second line contradict each other. God is a creation of our mind. Then you cannot assert it is something, whatever your assertion is. If it's a creation of the mind, then you cannot say anything about that reality, because whatever you are saying is a creation of your mind. Mahesh. Is Prakriti
Why I had sorry to interrupt you. Why I had mentioned this verse, there was a question from one lady that if God isn't with me, then I am God. So in response to that, I had put up this comment that God is just a creation of our mind. There's nothing like God, Ram, Rahim, etc. It is just a creation. It's just a matter of convenience for us to pray or to, let's say, to remember Almighty.
Yeah, I mean, even if you say almighty or you say infinite with no forms or figures, all of this then will become creation of the mind. There is no statement you can make because every statement you make becomes a creation of the mind. So therefore, this would not be accepted in a Vedanta classroom. If you accept the first line, the second line will become redundant. Mahesh, is Prakriti composed of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas as the Sankhyas say, or is it composed of the Pancha Mahabhutas? Firstly, Prakriti means the Pancha Mahabhutas. These Pancha Mahabhutas combine in various ways. Once they have combined in various ways, you then can classify them as tamas, rajas, or sattva. The warp and the woof of cotton, okay, of a cloth, warp and woof, right, like that. Okay, can you see that? How is a cloth made? There's a warp, there's a woof, right? So the same cotton is converted into that woven cloth. Now, once that cloth is created, you can then say this is a whatever. This is a good cloth, bad cloth, high quality, low quality, and blah, blah. But it's all coming from the same cotton. It can be classified further. It can be a pant, a shirt, a turban, whatever. All forms of classification come only after that. So gunas are of Prakriti. That means classification, which technical classification is tamas, rajas, and sattva. But any classification which you choose to use, even if it's a non-technical one like good and bad, which is a more common layman sort of classification, is in that combination of the Mahabhutas.
Okay. Thank you.
Bharat. Okay, so Mahesh, if you say, is Prakriti composed of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas as the Sankhyan say? Or is it composed of the Pancha Mahabhutas? We are not discussing over here what the various philosophies say. What we are trying to discuss over here is trying to match our words to the ground reality as far as it is possible to do so. And that is really the whole attempt. So to say Sankhyan say or so and so say, I mean, I know I myself did it just now by saying Vedanta says, but as a philosopher, the closer we can match our words and concept to the ground reality, the better we believe ourselves at that, because it's a philosopher's job to know what is the ground reality. Bharat. Negation applies at the point of having conflict of choices. A conflict, a choice implies that there are two things. Right? The conflict is how you deal with that. But a choice means you can go right or you can go left. If you have equal desire for both, then that's what you call conflict. But a choice means that you've got two things. You have to choose. Now, what will you choose? Will you choose that which gives you immediate pleasure or that which takes you to your goal? So when you choose that which takes you to the goal, and I'm assuming it's a higher goal, it will become an automatic negation and assertion process. Means you negated your lower desires and asserted your higher ones.
Yes. Thank you.
Momita. God is objective reality then. Why, Momita? Why would God become objective reality?
Based on this earlier question where you said that God is not a creation of our mind. it is, once we say that it is a creation of our mind, then we cannot say it is infinite with no forms or figures.
God is a creation of our mind because you are giving whatever reality that exists some kind of attribute, right? You can't deal with it without attributes. So you'll give some kind of attributes. We can give the subtlest attributes. It's infinite, it's all pervading. It's the subtlest attributes, but you are still giving attributes. And any attribute you create is from your mind. From your mind means the word mind here is used in the sense of your thoughts. So
then God is a placeholder then for
yes,
what
God,
we don't know.
correct. God is a placeholder.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
We are trying to find out what is that ultimate truth. And we still don't know it. It's like in maths, you start with let the answer be X. Are the gunas equivalent to jati category? Not equivalent, but also the combination of the gunas will bring about categories.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Kalyan Kumar?
Yeah, Janaki. Your response to Pravesh saying that you are what you identify with, or you exhibit those qualities, and Arun, this question also, that what you responded, that at a point of choice, what is it that determines your choice in terms of making that, whether to negate or to go with a higher thing? Now, if you can't, I mean, you can only identify with what you can perceive and conceive, no? And if you can't perceive, feel, and conceive the self, then how will you make the choice, or how will you get that identification as close to that self as possible?
Can I say, for a person, his world is what he can perceive, right? Once the story goes, and I don't know whether it's true or false, okay, but the story goes that when Vivekananda met Ramakrishna the first time, he asked him, "Do you know God? Have you seen him?" Because I see him as clearly as I see you. That is his perception, right? So for those who perceive the Lord, they perceive. Now, if we don't perceive the Lord, then we don't perceive the Lord. Now, if I were to ask each and every person in this class, what do you perceive over here? Each one will give me a different answer. So you're right when you say that if you don't perceive it, you can't aim for it. That is correct. If you don't perceive India, you cannot make the development of India your goal. If you don't perceive humanity, you cannot make the development of humanity your goal. So you can make a goal only where you can perceive. And that's what you should do. Make a goal within that, because that's the way forward.
It's also coming in verse 28, Janki ji.
Verse
Ya
20.
pashyati sa pashyati.
Yes. Correct. Is that okay, Kalyan? So
Yeah,
it is
okay.
so intimate to me, right? I am perceiving this. And therefore I want it. What is his name? Galileo Galilei. He perceived that the sun was stationary. And therefore he was, on a mission to say it. And those people told him that you have to recant and you have to pray to the gods and recant. And you have to put incense into this and say this is not true what you just said. So now they said, if you don't say this, we'll cut off your head. So he said, okay, Baba, I'll say whatever you want. So he says, okay, I recant. And then he says, still it moves. The earth moves, whether you believe it or you don't believe it, whether you see it or you don't see it. You want me to recant? I'll recant. Mera kya jata hai? But the thing is, how can he recant? Because that is what he sees. So then eventually they had to kill him, because even though he recanted, his whole life was based on the fact that still it moves. So what you see is what you see, and based on what you see, you will have a goal. Some people, the criminal category, see only making money. They can't see anything else. So they will override everything. Every form of morality, every form of family, every form of anything. Just that I can make more money. I'll murder you also, but I'll make more money. Because that is what they perceive. The family man will sacrifice everything for the family, because that is what he perceives. How much these men will go work hard day and night, they're working hard and doing so many things and running here and there, and working all day, then learn dealing with finances, hajar nakras they'll do. Why do they do it? Because they perceive family. Or the ladies, they go rushing to work. I don't know, in Mumbai, it's terrible thing. The lady will get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, make some dabba for the family, then rush off, catch some terrible local train, sit in the local train for 1.5 hours, where she will then peel her vegetables and do knitting or some such thing. Reach office, work their whole day, then come running home and do some more cleaning of her vegetables, reach home, fry the vegetables. What is she doing all this for? Morning to night, I don't know how long these people's days are. Family. My child has to go to school or college or whatever it is that she has in her head, and she works. So our goals are based on what we can see as a matter of fact, and as a matter of correctness also. What else can we do? Okay, Kalyan, did I answer your question?
Yes, yes.
He explained the question, I think. What was the question? You can't do it unless you can perceive it. Correct. I don't know what I'm explaining. You already know this.
Yeah. Sorry.
Mahesh, if God is a placeholder, what did Sri Ramakrishna see when he saw God? How can I answer that? I believe you know the story too, right? That's the story. That is his perception. Everything in life is a placeholder. For that man who thinks money is everything, that's a placeholder. For the fellow who thinks family is everything, that is a placeholder. For the fellow who thinks country is everything, that is a placeholder. Everything is a placeholder. It's a placeholder because you don't know what is the real thing that matters. We have no idea. The philosophers are those who say, okay, I don't know what is the thing that matters. I'm going to find it out. The rest of the world is very sure this is what it is. Deepraj has given you a suggestion. Okay, Mahesh, are you okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Mahesh, are you okay? You're agreeing to everything I'm saying today. I'm getting a bit worried. You're fine, right? Sounds
Yeah, I'm fine.
strange to me that you're just simple agreement. Mahesh, no matter what I have said to him for the last 20 years, he has disagreed with me. Today he's become very, okay, yeah, this is fine. So it makes me worry.
Janki ji, Adi sir has straightened us out completely.
Okay, we need him a lot more then. Okay, good. So that's the mystery. All right. So shall we continue? Is this clear? Where were we? We were on 22. 23 is a great verse which we are coming to. But is this verse clear? Purusha, seated in Prakriti, experiences the Prakriti. What are the gunas of Prakriti? All your various classifications, whatever you have. Then what happens? Attachment to the gunas is the cause of its birth in good and evil wombs. It's an amazing thing how he explains all of life in one sentence. Okay, so matter of fact, what is the fact? This combination of Prakriti and Purusha, which is known as
The individual.
very good. And this individual is called
Deepraj.
Jiva.
very good. Right. So this individual, Deepraj or Komal or Momita or Mahesh or Savitri Kathuria. This is a new name. Savitri, are you new? Subrata, I remember seeing you yesterday. Shivani Jain. Oh, I didn't realize there are new people in class. If anyone
Kathuria is speaking.
is
Savitri Kathuria is speaking. I am the mother of Manisha.
oh my God, how are you after so many years?
Fine, fine, fine.
My God, it's like a voice from the past. Where is Manisha? I haven't seen her for years and years and years. But I believe she just went to the academy, right?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so
Okay, then.
sorry,
Okay.
so not a new person at all.
Janki ji, we are from your old class. Mrs. Kathuria.
Yes, everyone is all 20 years old and 30 years old, and I'm beginning to now feel really old. Okay, so wherever we attach, okay, so it's a matter of fact that this combination experiences the world. Okay, that is easy. Matter of fact, right? The combination, Purusha and Prakriti, together, the combination, Mamita, Deepraj, Kalyan Kumar, they experience the world. Matter of fact. Now, is there a problem there? No, it's just a matter of fact. Then where do our problems arise? Our problems arise in the next line. What is the next line saying? Attachment to the gunas is the cause of its birth in good and evil womb. What is attachment to the gunas? That means you believe that one of these categorizations is better than another of these categorizations, and therefore you are running behind one of them. And when you do that, you do it for good things. Then, like good thing means you do charity or you want to do volunteer work or whatever good things you want to do. Then you get a good birth. That means you will go to that environment. You know, birth and death only mean change. So you'll only change to that environment. And if you create negative desires, you get attached to the negative side of it. Or you want to be possessive, or you want to be demanding, or you want to grab from other people, or some negative thing. Then you get that womb, that birth, that environment where everybody is just pulling from one another. You know, it's so simple, right? When you go and you see, suppose you go to a place, some people go to a place, they have no knowledge of what other people around there are there. They just go there like a bull in a china shop. If there's a queue, they'll ignore the queue and they'll go forward. So they create that environment wherever they go. You break the queue, others will also break the queue. They're creating the environment. So you get your birth in these good and bad wombs. Very, very interesting how people, Swamiji had given this example, which was a very telling example. He was going in a cab or something in Europe, and the cab driver turned out to be Indian. I don't know what, German, Indian. Anyway, they got into a conversation, and that man told him that his friend, who runs another cab or whatever in the world that chap was doing, he said, that man makes so much money, he said. This cab driver was telling Swamiji, and he came back and had told us the story. And he said, that man makes so much money, he can have a party every day. So what is this man looking at? So much money, he can have a party every day. Not so much money, he can give so much in charity. Not so much money, he could educate so many poor people. He had so much money that he could party every day. This is the attachment to the gunas that take you to the negative rooms. That's what you asked for. So the problem with life is not the fact that we experience things. The problem with life is of these experiences, we believe some are good and some are bad, and we chase whatever we think are good in the sense of pleasurable. And we try to get away from those which we think are non-pleasurable. If this decision of ours is a good one, then you get a good wound. And if this decision of ours is negative, selfish, self-centered, then you get a negative wound, means a negative environment. Beautiful verse, right? All these verses are very nice. Even the next one. This one tells you what the individual does. The next one tells you what Purusha does.
Yeah, Janki, sorry, coming again on this verse, that's really very powerful. Why attachment to gunas is the cause of birth and death? Why not just gunas? Why don't we just stay with that? Why are we saying attachment to gunas?
Because gunas is a fact. Like say Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja, he was a saint from southern India. He was a singer. That is his guna. That he is a singer. Now, because he's a singer, he won't get rebirth. Why will he get rebirth? Is because of his attachment to that singing. Because he has given that singing more importance than he has given the self. But if he has given the self full importance, and singing is just one of the things that happens, then no rebirth.
Because we say gun atit, trans gunas. And so which means all the gunas get, or you go beyond gunas.
So what does that mean that you go beyond gunas? Let's use the English word qualities. Man of realization will have some qualities, right? Okay, like Tyagaraja sings. Sri Ramakrishna talks to the people who come to him. Ramana Maharishi doesn't talk to anybody at all. Ramatirtha goes around talking to the whole world. He'll take a ship and he'll go to America. Each one has its quality. But that is not the cause of rebirth. The cause of rebirth is the attachment to that. That means you have given it black market value, extraordinary importance, and thereby created desires, more and more desires for you. And therefore, you get birth. Means constant change of environment.
But if you have gunas and no desire, there'll be no rebirth. Just
like all realized people have some guna, right? Guna in the sense of quality. Some quality or the other they have to have.
Just key word is desire, attachment, desire.
Okay, so that's it. We will meet again next Sunday, but I'm sure you all know that there's been some enthusiasm over the book Happiness Guarantee. So we are planning to start the class next Friday. Next Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. We will start the Happiness Guarantee class. Bharat, do people have to do anything? They don't have to do anything, right?
No, class members will be given the information on the group. And obviously they'll have to invite people, friends and family. So we can share the information on the group.
Yeah, so Bharat will share. If anyone is not on the group and would like to be part of the group, is there anyone here who's not in the group and would like to be?